himself. He had a great showing at MLG, was the farthest advancing foreigner, or non-Korean rather. And you know, he was saying, I'm still not happy, I'm still not satisfied. Even if I place better than all my peers, if I don't win, I'm still a loser. And that's the kind of mentality that Naniwa carries.
So who would you give this match to?
I don't know, man. Historically, Naniwa's always struggled against Zerg, especially European Zerg. He seems like he can hold his own. Naniwa had an amazing series against Donregu in the GSL a couple seasons ago. Can he kind of regain that form? It seems like what version of Naniwa will show up? How is he going to present himself in a best of 3? And Nerchio, man, this guy, he's always said that he's traveled a little bit poorly, but we've seen him make epic loser bracket runs. We'll start things off, guys, here at IPL 5 between Nerchio and Naniwa. Who will advance? One enters. Only one will go through.
IPL 5. Welcome to IPL 5 Daybreak.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the top right-hand corner of the map, from Team Acer, hoping he can pull out the victory, it is the Zerg player,
Acer Nerchio.
who almost just got a probe kill.
Yeah, it's always one of those things. It's probe is one of the biggest teases in the world.
He's looking very relaxed right now. His opponent, guys, in the bottom left-hand corner, gonna be bringing out all the stops here. In the blue, it is...
Mionix Naniwa.
Map is Daybreak. Look at that, Naniwa concentration level gamer. It's Daybreak, a map that's historically been very figured out, and it's really cool to see that Naniwa's been able to evolve his play, like we said. But I want to see what Naniwa is going to be able to bring to this tournament, because you know, some tournaments it seems like he's going to make that great run when it's that giant open bracket in MLG. That's when Naniwa first got his name, right? When he went to MLG and just won it.
Yep.
But then there's also tournaments where he goes to the group stages where it just seems like Naniwa can't really do what he wants to. His plans get completely destroyed. He's not able to micro as well, and Naniwa gets into this discomfort zone where he doesn't seem like he can come back in any scenario. Now Naniwa has a really solid playstyle usually, even dating back to when Protosses weren't Forge Fast expanding. He was going for like a robo-based expand, push with Immortal Sentry off of 2 bases, a little bit more delayed. But what can we really be expecting from this series, Kibbles? Because I know you've been studying them a lot.
Well, I'm really excited for Naniwa. Earlier, I mentioned the comment, Naniwa's been on the down lately. But you mentioned it beautifully, Ferdinand, that, he's down because he's reconstructing himself. Take a player, for instance, who maybe just decided to remap every single hotkey because they realized they could do it more efficiently. Well, their playstyle's really going to suffer for a while, It's going to take a while before they can get used to the new layout. But once they do, they may strike back even stronger than before. Will that be Naniwa at this event? Off to a rough start, okay, but now he's got a chance here to show versus Nerchio.
And Nerchio off to a nice start, picking off that probe. Although the probe knew what he was getting into, man. He was asking for trouble.
Scouting.
That's right. How dare he look for information?
It's the worst profession to have as a probe. There's a lot of types of probes. There's worker probes, there's builder probes, there's mining probes, there's suicide probes.
That's right. All of them are special in their own way.
I guess there's military probes too. When you that's mostly the SCV.
Then there's
stuff.
the Huck probe, man. Where's the Huck probe, the hero probe, the one that used to go around harassing all the time,
it's actually one probe.
Pinching queens in the butt. It used to be one of the most endearing things to see.
The Buck probe.
Yeah, it was the hero probe, as we all said. That was back a long time ago, though, as Huck, of course, fighting for his life in IPL 5.
Yeah.
We see a quick robo out of Naniwa, first choice of gas from this Protoss player. We do see that Nerchio is going for pretty standard. Nerchio is very capable of playing powerful macro styles, but he's also capable of doing, all kinds of stuff. He can play Muta in composition. He can play the Roach-based composition. He can play Ling and Fester. But it seems like he's going to go for pretty standard timings. Around 630, 640, he's going to drop his Roach Warren and Evo Chamber. This is like the standard ZVP build.
Yeah, and you know, on the other hand, from Naniwa, we're seeing the Robo into 2 gases, so a lot of options available to him right now, and by a lot, I mean really 2. He's throwing down 3 gateways. I mean, this could be another Immortal Sentry play. I'm going to be waiting to see the Twilight counts. I really felt like he would be expanding here, but Warp Prism on the way. Things are getting a little bit finicky, and it looks like it's going to be instead a second Sentry on the way. This is a little bit back to hero again, as we're going to see a Sentry Zealot drop play.
Yep, even getting a quick +1 to deal with any early Zerglings as Nerchio is taking up the lair, getting his gases. Now, he hasn't committed to Roaches. That's actually the fun part, because you don't necessarily have to make Roaches. This was like a big revelation to some Zergs about 6-7 months ago. It's like, you know, I actually don't have to make any to be safe, and then I could just use my gas to detect something else, just have it for security base. And that's what Nerchio is doing. He's being very, very minimalist as possible.
And yeah, you know what, to highlight or expand on that, very safe, Dan. He has dropped a Spore Crawler at his 3rd base. He is also, I saw 2 in production. I'm looking for the second one, but regardless, I mean, he's making Spore Crawlers. He has that Roach Worm, but has not made any Roaches. So he is just making sure he's got all his bases covered, because he does not know what to expect out of Naniwa right now. And it looks like it is going to be, well, the Zealots are already warped in, and here comes the pressure. Twilight Council going down behind this, so expect Naniwa to expand, but we'll see what damage he can get done here versus Acer's Nerchio.
So let's do that +1. That's going to make it very difficult for Nerchio to engage. He doesn't have a Spine Crawler really to bait off the pressure. He has played this very minimalist. Oh, look at this, trying to reposition the Spore Crawler so that way the Warp Prism can't get into good position. But Naniwa does deal with the Queen. 2 sentries able to force with them block the ramp. Nerchio made a few Roaches, but there's really not much to deal with the Zealots in time. The Force Field is also trapping some of the units. Actually, none of the units.
Yeah, that was just a little bit botched Force Fields.
Oh, but he's going to try to target down the hatchery. This could be a big snipe, and the Zealots are not going down quick enough. And Naniwa does manage to deal with the 3rd hatchery. Big plays from our Swedish Protoss.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, man.
Wow, down to just 9 hit points with 2 sentries inside. Naniwa's going to get just out of there, and he did catastrophic damage to Nerchio. Taking a look at the workers killed, though, he didn't break into that too much. Only 1 at this time. But he took out that hatchery, delayed a ton of mining time, and killed about an equal number of units, I do believe. Yeah, he's only about 100 minerals behind.
Yeah, he killed off the Queen, killed off some drones, forced a lot of Roaches, as well as, you know, killed the hatchery. So those things stack multiplicatively.
Yes.
Yes. And it allows Naniwa to use that multiplication for his benefit.
Ooh.
Boom.
That was some insane logic and vocabulary, Dan.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Greetorp told me to practice more math, so I tried saying words that I shouldn't. Nerchio, he's going to try to double expand while getting his Infestor tech out. This is, of course, a nice little way to slowly pressure with the Roaches, but realistically, you're just trying to get farther ahead based off how much you lost early on. Naniwa looking like he wants to set up for a strong 3 base, but one thing that you pointed out, Kibbles, that I love, is that Nerchio still has a good drone count. It's not like he lost too much there.
Yeah, he's sitting at 74, actually, which is just massive. He's also grabbing, this is basically a double expand behind this. I mean, he reestablished his 3rd. He also jumped up to this 4th base, which is 3/4 of the way done right now. And we still have Naniwa, who's on 2 bases. That creep is really, really slowing him down right now. And this is very nice for Nerchio. I mean, Naniwa has to answer this, actually. He needs to push across the map, and it looks like he's going to be doing just that. He hasn't scouted the 4th, but this is a very intelligent and necessary play.
Yeah, this is you know, an interesting moment to push out, because Naniwa does plan to expand. In fact, yes, he dropped the Nexus anyways, but he's just going to slowly pressure. This is a very off-timed moment for Zerg. They're not very comfortable with this because they don't have a big amount of units. They don't have a big Infestor count. They do have Infestor tech, but it's not like they have a great amount of upgrades. Naniwa splitting his units, making sure not to get caught too much out of position and get fungled. And all he has to do is try to bait out some energy, do this very nicely, and don't get caught.
Yep, and his Sentry Micro right now is immaculate. He went forward with just 1 Sentry that had a lot of energy, so that if a fungal was blown on it, it wasn't gonna, you know, catch all of his sentries. But here's the thing, he did not see that 4th base. He saw a Spore Crawler, that's pretty indicative. But I mean, he's only got a 3rd right now, so in response to this, I'd love to see a fast fourth out of Naniwa as well.
I mean, he doesn't know, so he can't really react to that. He has to play with the information he has, which he saw Roach and Fester, and saw, some Zerglings really. So he says, okay, well, he's channeling all of his gas to major layer tech right now, not necessarily gearing up for a heavy hive switch. Some Zergs play super duper greedy and try to go for a quick hive. That's not the case in this scenario. Now we finally see the hive going down at the same time as the Spire, so about 14 minutes. That's just going to give Naniwa a comfortable 2-minute window where he might be able to do something, but Naniwa's playing this very passive because he's going for his third base. So these things all indicate for Nerchio to be in a really good position, especially since he has 8 gases.
Yeah, that it's going to allow him to do so much here, Dan. I mean, the hive, the Spire, the upgrades as well. Nerchio is going to have basically a little party over here on the east side of Daybreak, whereas Naniwa is kind of, he's really in the dark right now. He needs more information, needs to find out what's going on that other side of the field, and well, it looks like he's going to move out, but
yeah.
This is a tough timing for him.
This is what we're talking about. You don't necessarily have to capitalize on all of your third base. You're going to push around 2.5. And Naniwa knows, this is a good time to strike. That window is still a little bit open here for Naniwa if he can make something happen here, Kibbles.
I thought there were a lot more Spore Crawlers. In fact, they had just been relocating. They were just translucent. So only 3 Spores here, or excuse me, Spine Crawlers for Nerchio. So he's going to be splitting his forces. Will Force Fields go down on the ramp? No, in fact, the Fungal Growth trapping a lot of the Stalkers right now. Blinking forward, targeting down the high energy infestors. Beautiful control out of Naniwa right now. Force Field trapping. Look at these Roaches all trapped up. A beautiful donut there. And Naniwa is devastating the Roach count right now for Nerchio. And he's killed off a lot of infestors, Dan.
Great blinks from Naniwa, but his job is not done yet. Spine Crawler and Infestor can lock down positions. Look how much damage the Zealots are doing in the main base. Nerchio has lost a lot of his economy. Now Nerchio is going to make another big stand. Naniwa has a lot of weak Stalkers. A couple Fungals can change the outcome drastically. Naniwa still staying up in supply, but it is also dropping quickly. The Immortals finally have dropped 2, but the Infestor count is dwindling slowly as Naniwa trying to go in for some Warpins with another Warp Prism. But the reinforcements from Naniwa might be enough. And he's cleaning up so many of these infestors.
He cleaned up every infestor, Dan. There's 1 left on the entire map right now, and it is out of energy as well. Naniwa with a fantastic engagement there. Yes, he may look to be down in supply, but he killed off all the high-value units, and behind it, he actually has 6 more workers than Nerchio right now.
But I feel like Nerchio still, he weathered the hardest part of ZVP mid-game. When his hive is going up, he's getting all of his tech out. The big thing is that he did lose his infestors, like you said, Kibbles, but he's still on 4 base so comfortably. He didn't even lose all of his Spine Crawlers, so he doesn't even have to overcommit too many drones anymore.
Naniwa a little bit oversaturated right now at his third as well. He has not mined a single Vespene off of either Geyser. So probably a relatively large blunder there out of Naniwa, in fact. But he's grabbing his 4th base, he's throwing down some cannons, and he's going to get up to that very powerful 4-base Protoss play.
Oh yeah, 4-base Protoss, you can get your Mothership out, you can get Archons, you can still warp in non-stop Stalkers. It's just that explosion of economy, because by the time you get to the 4th base, you're pretty much on 3-base economy anyways. This Warp Prism trying to get into a nice little nook, but Nerchio won't let that happen, trying to protect his Greater Spire, just needs a little bit more time. And Naniwa, of course, we all know that he wants more time too, so both players giving each other what they want.
Yeah, and it's a little tough to out-macro a Zerg player, so we're seeing all of the money for Nerchio being dumped, but still, Naniwa ahead in probes, 70 to 64 right now. So, and he has started mining off of the gases at his third, so he just needs to play a nice defensive game. I can't even emphasize this enough. He needs to clean up this creep in the middle. In the lane, the creep's really pushing down the lane, and there's nothing here, like the rocks are still there, so kill off those tumors, make sure it can't get any further, and make it tougher for Nerchio to do that terribly scary Spine Crawler Broodlord push.
Oh, it's terribly scary, all right, man.
It's a scary
I've seen the sequel to that, which is Spine Crawlers, Infestors, and Broodlords. That was also a terrifying movie. Naniwa is, trying to scout around, see if his opponent's expanding more over across the map. Nothing really going on in that regard. So Naniwa says, okay, 4-base versus 4-base. Does that mean I have time to really mass up a big army? Nerchio, in the meantime, says, well, if he doesn't attack, I don't have to do anything except mass up more Infestors, more Broodlords, and get up that unkillable army. He even has 83 drones, a little bit too much. He can even afford to make more Spire Crawlers.
Yeah, and that, now, the Broodlord spawning with the Infestor count that Nerchio's actually replenished himself up to. It's going to be a pretty scary timing. He's got 12, 4 Broodlords. Not too many links. I'm really impressed with Nerchio's ability to spend his money right now. Naniwa, every time we've been looking, he's over 500 minerals, which is just never a good thing to have. Maybe drop down, well, he's actually already completed his weapon upgrade. So at this stage, well, it looks like it's going to be a Templar Archives and a Stargate. He's going to start making his way up to those additional tech routes. But here's the thing, while he's teching, Nerchio is continuing to expand.
Yeah, you know, Naniwa delayed this tech to make sure he just has some security. The 4th base is a very tough spot for Protoss to really hold because of the way Zergs can flank. Look at that beautiful kiting from Nerchio, able to really deal with this, the Zealot harass. Their Zealots were supposed to kill off this 5th base, but instead, looks like they failed their mission.
Yeah, I mean, that was great scouting as well from Nerchio. He had a couple of units down there and managed to get visibility on those Zealots beforehand. But you know, both players at this point kind of just sitting back. We see the expansion going down from Naniwa. It's a lot of macro at this moment.
Yes. Now, Naniwa doesn't really have like a strong window of opportunity to really push in and do massive damage, especially since he invested so much into the Mothership and Templar Archives. He would rather have the availability of getting them out than just trying to fight Zerg head on. Meanwhile, we also see Protoss transition into mass warp prisms, at least 2, maybe 3. Incorporate some DT, some Zealots. We saw Rain do that quite often. He always goes for double DT into Zealot warp-ins. But Naniwa looks like he's gearing up into a very aggressive position, but he really wants to just stall for as much time as possible.
Yeah, I think he's just, you know, trying to assert a little bit of map control here. You definitely don't want to push against this army. You kind of just wait for Zerg to make a billion Broodlords, or wait for them to move their Broodlords to a wrong location. Like right now, these Broodlords going pretty high north. That would open up the avenue for Naniwa to attack. Seeing that, he might go for it. We're going to see if the Stalkers decide to blink in. No, he's just going to poke, clean up these tumors, and I like that decision ultimately. Just wait for the big push. Once it happens, if you win, you kind of win the game, actually.
Oh, Nerchio sees the Zealots. He wants to defend this 5th base. This one Zealot is having a field day here in the bottom right corner, and that's going to draw some units away, but overall, Naniwa knows that Nerchio won't really give up his center position. And this is like the stalemate that we always see on Daybreak, as you see Naniwa starting to get Dark Templars out into the field. The map is pretty split, and overall, I feel like time is just going to make Nerchio unkillable, absolutely unkillable, because look at how many Broodlords he's morphing.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
The response here from Naniwa is a little bit late to mass brood. I mean, he's now dropping down his 2nd and 3rd Stargates while Zealots are harassing this bottom base once again. Zerglings will come to clean this up, likely before it's taken out.
Yeah, the Naniwa trying to just harass this base, take it out, poke down the center.
Oh, a little bit of an engagement in the middle, though. Fungal Growth's going to catch some of the Stalkers and 2 Colossi. These Broodlords are cleaning up a lot of units for absolute free, and a nice victory here for Nerchio.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big costly trade. I mean, obviously Naniwa would like to trade out some units so that we can improve his unit composition a little bit. But he traded a lot, about 20, 30 supply worth of units, and Nerchio sees that as the time to trade. He's got 20 Broodlords. What can Naniwa do against this giant blink under the Broodlords? But this is a tall order for any Protoss army to handle.
Absolutely it is. He's trying to focus them down, but the reality is that the Stalkers could not get unclumped. So many fungal growths trapping them in place, and we still have 13 Broodlords left in the battle for Nerchio.
Man. Banelings with +3 are rolling into the scene. Naniwa has to evacuate this 4th base. The center push is too strong, considering that, again, like you said, Gibbles, that there's a creep highway preventing Naniwa from moving in too aggressively, and the Mothership is not even out. Nerchio already able to take such an aggressive posture, and Naniwa can't dislodge him from it.
You know, it goes back to earlier. You know, the +1 is just now finishing for air weapons, but Nerchio has already attacked. I mean, Nerchio attacked because he caught the Colossi and the Stalkers, but the reality is all of this is so late for Naniwa. The Mothership now still another 20 seconds away from being done at 26 minutes in. A tough spot for our Swedish Protons.
Nerchio doing the right, Naniwa doing the right thing, sending Dark Templars. He sniped the bottom right base, now trying to work onto the conventional 3rd base. But, I mean, Naniwa's got bigger issues. He's got Broodlords, Banelings, and Infestors just waddling down on his existing income. Naniwa has pretty much mined out his main and his natural. He's on basically half base economy. He can't really remake the amount of forces that he normally would like to. And Nerchio's got everything under control. And I mean, Nerchio has to completely clump up everything for Naniwa to have a chance at comeback.
Yeah, you know, a small victory for Naniwa. He did manage to pick off the expansion down towards the bottom of the map. But overall, I'm actually surprised that Nerchio's bringing everything home here. He's maxed out. He's got a nice bank. But does make enough sense, you know. If the engagement, somehow Queen does get sniped, by the way. Nice move there for Naniwa. But make sure you have a big enough bank so that if somehow all of your stuff gets caught and all your Broodlords get Vortex and you lose everything, you can actually still remake your army this way. Oh my god, that is so many Banelings.
And the Banes don't even have speed.
Yeah.
This
37.
is like the slowest moving, devastating army I've ever seen. And, I mean, Nerchio is moving up the ramp, but he's kind of not realizing he doesn't necessarily have to unless he has the perfect engagement. But Naniwa's committing so much of his resources to Zell run by because Zells are nothing against this army as the Paintings will completely destroy them. Here comes the Broodlords. We have enough energy for one Vortex, but here is the preemptive split. Only about 1/3 of the Broodlords get caught, and the Banes can even go into the Vortex and immediately devastate everything. The Stalker count is dwindling. Naniwa's supply is below triple digits, and Nerchio with a strong showing game number 1. GG.
Well, Nerchio, feeling calm as always, it seems. Which, you know, you talked about his nerves, man, but they did not show in that game. He played a crisp, clean series and just waited Naniwa to make a mistake. And I'm really anxious to, Naniwa, you can just see the disappointment on his face. I mean, he was holding that game fantastic. Nerchio is a player, he can just kill you in the mid-game, he really can. And,
he can kill you anytime he wants to. Nerchio is a man of many builds. You know, I agree with what you said. You know, you can see that Nerchio is pretty much settled in, and it's always been the case where he makes awesome loser bracket runs and always makes it a little bit tough for himself, not necessarily advancing too far. We did see Nerchio take down DreamHack Bucharest in really dominating fashion, and that's kind of the Nerchio everyone's come to expect. But overall, it's just really, again, it's unfortunate. It just speaks to the caliber of this tournament that Naniwa and Nerchio have to meet this early on.
72 players of death is really what we've got going on here, and 2 of them are going up against each other, facing elimination. Nerchio currently up 1-0 against Naniwa, and I gotta say, man, I didn't expect that. I really felt Naniwa was going to come out here with a strong showing. I was talking with him last night, and he seemed to feel pretty good. But, you know, we're going to have to see. We'll move into Game 2 shortly. But Daybreak's a pretty even map. And, I mean, actually, that game was really close for a lot of the game. It was both players playing very well. It was just that one hiccup.
I feel like Naniwa definitely had, you know, windows where he can really do a lot of damage. I feel like he had the right ideas. You know, he was making the right decisions. I think overall, though, Naniwa, he didn't do enough. You know, he was trying to seize the moment, and he was not able to get enough. Just look at that push out to that 4th base. But Nerchio had that 4th for so long, and under normal circumstances, Nerchio should not have that much availability of units in Gas and Larva. But because Nerchio was able to sneak that in while feigning a lot of pressure, it was a great move by a Zerg player, and as a result, what can a Protoss do from there?
Hey, you know, a lot of times you hear it actually, players will be like, oh, he's behind right now, because Nerchio was behind a little bit in the early game. And they're like, oh, he should double expand. And a lot of times when I hear that, or even when I say it, I'm like, every time the person double expands, it gets seen and they lose. But here's actually a perfect instance of where Nerchio went for the double expand, and Naniwa actually didn't spot it. And consequently, I mean, Nerchio got himself back into a great position.
That's right. Nerchio knows how to climb himself back into this game. Looks like